Welcome to News in Nigeria TV. A report coming from Plateau, of course, which is just is that the cattle rearers, or should I say the Fulani herders, are raising an alarm. They are crying that their cattle, their cows, who are feeding on farmers' land, are dying because the farmers are applying what we call a pesticide. Their complaint is that this application of pesticide by the farmers is an abuse of their national right to graze in any land where their cow actually ply. You can imagine and you can just but not wonder and be amused with the temerity and the audacity of these cattle rearers. Let me please read this, the complaint of these herders. They said herders in Plateau have raised serious concerns over what they describe as a growing and dangerous trend of farmers using insecticides and harmful chemicals on farmland to intentionally harm their cattle. The herders, who spoke during a community dialogue facilitated by local peace groups, alleged that some farmers are now treating crops with toxic substances, not only to repel animals but to cause fatal reactions when grazed upon. They called on the state governor Caleb Muftwang and security agencies to urgently intervene and warn the farmers to stop spraying insecticide, as they call it. But the farmers are saying these are pesticides to control pests on their own crop, which they never planted for any cattle to graze on, by the way. That they should warn the farmers, otherwise new level of conflict that will get to an escalative level will ensue. Or if they want a true peaceful coexistence, these farmers must, as a matter of urgency, stop spraying insecticide on these crops and let the cows peacefully graze on those crops. I mean, it has gotten to the point that I am beginning to sound like a broken record. I have always said it that a cattle rearer, who are predominantly the Fulanis, have this psyche that the cattle they graze are assets of the federal government. I mean, from that statement that I just read out, you can see they said that the farmers, for them to enjoy what we call a peaceful coexistence between the herder and the farmer, they should not apply a pesticide on those crops. That the cattle should be allowed to graze, and when they graze, when there is a need for compensation, maybe they can have further conversations. Have you ever seen where a farmer got compensated simply because some herds of cows, invaded his farm crops, finished everything, and hello, he got compensated? Let me show you a video where a farmer, right, in Kwara State, this guy has always come out in the past to support the Fulani herders, that this, that, blah, 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 blah. Let me show you what these herders did to him, and you listen to his lamentation, and immediately after that, I'll continue my analysis.
At what the Fulani herdsmen are doing. Look at it. They pulled down the fence. A grown cassava. They finished it. Grown cassava, look at it. They finished everything. Look at it. Look at the leaves. They ate everything and finished it. Look at the cassava leaves. They finished it. Grown cassava, look at them. They finished it overnight. 20 acres of cassava plantation.
Welcome back. I hope you saw that video. That guy over there, he has about 40 to 50 acres of cassava farmland, right? That farmland was well fenced. In some places, he used bricks, and in some places, he used wired fencing. However, for you to know that these cattle headers know what they actually want, they broke into that wired fence, they cut it, they broke it down, and a herd of about 100 cows stormed that farm. And overnight, overnight, all the cassava gone. His maize, this just happened some days ago in Kwara State, my people. So in Jos, they are telling the farmers that endure the pain, right? Endure the pain of tilling the soil, right? Cultivating and planting the seed, waiting and nurturing the crops until they get to a stage of maturity. Endure it to that point that those cattle that are national asset, in fact, these cattle, they should write, I think they should stamp on those Fulani cattle that do not touch or do not tamper with this cattle na federal government property. I think they should have a label stamped on those cows, so that any farmer that is doing anything, tilling the soil, just, you should have at the back of your mind that if this cow come there at all, now federal government became waiting. Who can anybody face the federal government? This statement of this coalition of headers in Jos, if we were in a functioning country, these headers by now would have been locked up for pushing what we call inflammatory words, throwing threats to farmers who are just peacefully in their own land, who have never sent an invite to any cattle headers that, hello, come and graze on this my land. A peaceful farmer who will wait a period of 3 to 6 months. If he's cultivating corn, he will wait for approximately 90 to 99 days. If he's cultivating yam, he will wait approximately for 180 to 190 days. If he's cultivating rice, he will wait for 3 months. Cultivating beans, the same thing. But then, the cattle header who feels entitled, who feels that anything green that comes out of the ground should be the feed of his cattle. He doesn't want to engage, he doesn't want to invest, he does everything he wants is just to profit. In Senna climes, in Brazil, in Australia, where we even have millions of cattle headers within those jurisdictions. I'm even going too far. In Kenya, watch this video together in Kenya of a Nigeria who went to watch it together.
You see what they call cattle ranch, not open grazing. You know, I think we Africans need to learn from people of Kenya. I'm in Kenya, guys, and I was just driving by and I saw this. I was like, yo, this is really amazing. So you are not worried about what the cattle will eat and all that. There is enough excess grass here. Excess grass, not when you are rearing cattle, destroying people's farm. It doesn't make sense. You see the cattle very far from city. Very far from city. Nobody is feeding these cattle. Nobody is feeding the cattle. They are free here. They are not in cage. They eat whatever they want. This is how it's supposed to be.
Welcome back. Can you see how open grazing is done? A land will be just allocated for these headers. You know what you do on this farmland? All you need to do is barricade those farmlands. It doesn't matter what material you use to barricade it. Everybody in that community will know that this place is for cattle to graze. And when those cattle are grazing, whatever they need, the basic things as a startup, or should I say as a startup kit, the government might give you guys a seed investment. They might just help you with your healthcare facilities, basic healthcare facilities, basic educational facilities, pharmaceutical facilities, or should I say veterinary facilities, for the cows to receive in case they fall sick. However, over time, these cattle herders who are in this for business and for profit, when they make profit, will in return have commit and remit a share of their profit on a monthly or on an annual basis to the government, so that those things can be maintained, or in a situation whereby it will be a private public partnership investment. Those guys will have a private structure in place to maintain it. This is what Kenyans have been doing. I recall when Yemi Oshibanjo came out and said, let us have a situation whereby we will have a structured grazing area, not a grazing route, a grazing area. A particular place will be allotted to these cattle herders. Yeah, let us start from the north. Those people that came out and rejected this concept vehemently were the Mieti Allah. The Mieti Allah said that no, that the Nigerian government cannot constrain the Fulani man into a, a place. That the Fulani man culturally is known to be nomadic. And also, a Fulani man is known to take his cattle from a place that is being deserted into a place that is still green. This has always been their forte, how they live. And no one, as far as Nigeria is concerned, can restrict the free movement of the Fulanese. Now that culture can never change. You see, this is a word from the sons and daughters of the federal government. When words like this come from the body controlling the herders nationwide in Nigeria, then you must understand that this intentionality about open grazing is created to be sustained. And for them entering into people's farmland, they see nothing, absolutely nothing wrong about it. When you question them, when you try to repel them, a Sunday Jackson who tried it the other day has been condemned to death by hanging. The man who also tried it in Ibadan, who said that my farm, I just sprayed some pesticide to control pests. But a few minutes later, this herder stormed his farm and all the cows ate the farm's produce, the farm crops. And within a period of 1 hour, most of those cows were gone, long gone. Police arrested the farmer and told him that he has committed an offense. And right now, the farmer has been told to pay approximately 56 million naira for over 40 cows that stormed uninvited. Uninvited. They just went into this man's farmland in Ibadan, ate his crop. The man that what he even planted in that farm is even up to 5 million. But a cow that he never said, oh yeah, Fulani man, come and graze. He just simply went there. Let me control the pest. Sprayed his pesticides. And then oh God. Oh my God. I am totally and utterly very hungry right now. Is this a country? Is this a country where there is no equity, there's no fairness, there's no justice? You know, I said here earlier on, I said in Kenya, a similar situation happened. However, the government of Kenya, they roll out a plan. The Maasai tribe, who are known to be the nomadic ones, they didn't come out and say, no, we reject it. We reject it. Nobody can constrain us. We reject this one. Because if they had rejected it, the government of Kenya would have read the riot act against the Maasai people. that they cannot plunge the country into incessant conflicts. My question is, why has the Nigerian government not read the riot act to the Fulani herders? This is not rocket science. This practice of having a secluded area is, carefully selected sites for herders to go in with water provided. But this is not going to be like a plot of 2 plots of land. It's going to be acres of land, which will run into thousands. A place that will be as big as one community. So why can't you, as a cattle herder, be herding and be grazing? Just keep revolving around that community. And when your cows eat, you have to engage farmers, or you train your children to plant maize. These are grass that within 1 or 2 weeks will sprout up again. Invest what you make into planting what your cows will eat. This is what these herders don't want to do. They do not want to waste their time and resources. They just want a free food for their cows to feed on. You listen to the herders, they will tell you that there are so many virgin lands in Nigeria, so many forests that are just lying fallow, unused by the government, that they have the right to go there and graze in there. Are these herders aware that there are so many forests in every community that are intentionally left untouched because those forests are known as sacred forests? Some forests are seen as a forbidden forest. Some forests are seen as sacred. Some forests are seen as a place for spiritual concentrations and communications. But this has nothing to do with the common Fulani man. All he knows and thinks is, my cow, where next will he eat? It doesn't matter if what he feeds on impact the next person negatively. He has no business with that. The only thing he's concerned about is, let my cow eat. And when he eats, when he's done, everybody will be fine. You can see the level of superiority complex that they've had, and of course that the government continue to support, and of course amplify. Because if the government did not arrest a person like Sunday Jackson in the Middle Belt, or a person like Adebayo in Ibadan, who just innocently sprayed pesticide on his farmland, and these cattle herders, when they invaded him, I am sure these Fulani people, these Fulani herders, will not be this emboldened. I am sure that when Yomi Oshibanjo said, let us have some selected areas for you people to do your business, and for whatever reasons you guys will be protected, I am sure if they have enforced it, and in a situation whereby the Mietiala came out to say that no, we reject this, and they read a riot act against the Mietiala, I am sure by now this situation would have been settled. However, this is another indication that the Nigeria contraption is a capture state. That of course, indeed, Nigeria will only do the demands and the cry of a common Fulani herder. I mean, in other news, I know that the Nigerian army are now charging farmers for them to be protected against cattle herders. Watch out for my next episode. Bye for now.